Hi.
It's time for Blumpkin and Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
I think they said something about, like, a podcast or whatever. I don't know.
Hey kids, I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin, and with me today is my friend,
Tim.
Number One Fan Tim is back. And, well, it's the first time I've recorded an episode for the show in many weeks. So I thought that after reviewing episode 1, where Neil sat in and we talked about my mother, that perhaps I didn't do enough justice to proving just what a batshit crazy psychopath she can be. So I racked my brain for some stories, and I'm going to tell some of them to you so you can see just how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It goes pretty deep.
These are kind of random. Story number 1. So here's me. I'm standing in my parents' kitchen, and I'm eating a peanut butter sandwich. No jelly, just peanut butter. Didn't have a beverage handy. So I'm just eating and eating and eating, and suddenly a hunk of sandwich kind of gets caught in my throat. It's got nowhere to go. I've got nothing to wash it down with. Well, I'm standing at the counter, and then my mom's in front of the sink, and then on the other side of hers, the fridge. I turn around to go into the fridge. I open it. I grab the milk, I think, and I uncap it to take a drink. She yanks it out of my hand, right? And I kind of made the choking symbol like this a little, so I reach for it again, and then she pulls it away again. So she goes, "Get a glass. You're not drinking out of this." And I reach for it again. She pulls away. She's like, "I'm serious. You get a glass." I get a glass. I'm like wide-eyed and reaching desperately for this fucking thing because I can hold my breath. I'm not choking, but I'm almost there. And I pour it and I slam it and I sit there and I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? No, you're not going to drink from the carton. That's gross. We don't do that, you slob." I'm like, "I gave you the international symbol for I'm choking. I was fucking choking." Her reaction? "I don't care. You don't do that. It's unsanitary."
Maybe she was taking an opportune moment.
Oh, God damn it. Well, it was one of the longest 10 seconds of my life while that was sitting there just parked in my esophagus. But for her to be like, "I don't care that you were joking." Like, are you fucking serious? You dirty bitch. I could have actually been injured or died or something. I don't know. For the love of God, woman.
I think my reaction would have been to just run over to the sink and say, like, "F you, Mom."
She was, well, I couldn't talk. And 2, she was blocking the sink with her ginormous ass because she was standing there reading the fucking junk mail over it. So I was just kind of fucked on all front. I suppose I could have ran out of the room to the bathroom and started slurping out of the faucet. But I went for whatever was closest, and that carton of milk was
Yeah, I don't think you would have made it to the bathroom if you were choking.
I was fine. I had like taken a breath and then swallowed because I have to breathe while I'm taking these. I eat so fast. In addition to my food addiction, I eat like a fucking animal. Super fast, giant bites. Food is gone like that. Yeah. And then someone's like, are you done? I'm like, "Well, yeah. Did you fucking taste it?"
I hate when people ask me that. I eat quick because I don't have a lot of time to eat when I'm at work or whatever. I enjoy eating, but I'm not going to make an evening of it.
Right. So I kind of have somewhat of an anxiety issue at times with people rushing me. I've gotten a lot better in the clutch when the heat's on. If someone's trying to rush me through something, I operate better under pressure. And it's either just from time and experience, or maybe because she conditioned me almost like a tiger mom when I was a kid. Here's what she used to do. Some days I'd be slow to get out the door to the bus stop. So her response was to tell me, "Hurry up and get your shoes on, the bus is coming." And I'd go and I'd like kneel down on the floor to start tying my shoes. And she'd stand over and be like, hurry up. If you miss the bus, you're not getting a ride. I'm not driving you to school. You better get out there." She goes back in the kitchen around the corner. "The bus is there. You better hurry." And I'm like trying to just feverishly tie my fucking laces. And it's not like, obviously I'm panicking and not doing it right. And a couple times she had me in tears. And it was the same result every time. I'd almost start crying or I'd start crying. I'd dash out the door, round the corner, down to the side of the yard, down the sidewalk. And what did I see? No bus. The bus had never even come. So she was either deliberately trying to fuck with me, or it's just like a lot of other stuff where you question if she's that crazy that she doesn't realize that there's nothing there. She sees a bus drive by and suddenly, "You're going to miss your bus." Your folks ever do shit like that to you?
Not really. I mean, my dad always said if you missed the bus, you're not getting a ride. And he proved it one day when it was like 5 degrees below zero. Bus didn't even show up that day. And I start walking to school because he's like, I'm not giving you a ride. It's like, Dad, it didn't show up. I'm not giving you a ride. He worked second shift, so he still wanted to sleep.
Right.
So as I'm walking to school, I see 3 or 4 other kids from my bus. We're getting a little bit closer to the school. 6 or 7 other kids from the bus. I get to the school, they're like, oh yeah, the bus broke down and they couldn't make it out. They couldn't send another bus. And I still give my dad shit for that to this day because could have given me a freaking ride. I mean, my school was 2 miles from my house.
And it was like 5 below.
Mm-hmm.
Still not the same as standing over your child, like, come on, hurry up, let's go.
No, they never made me cry because I might miss the bus. No. Which leads into, yeah, your mom is psychotic. Just what little time I've spent with her over the last 25 years, yeah, I'm glad she's not my mom.
There was another time where I forget where we were going. I think we were taking my sister to the doctor. So, I mean, she's sitting there in the wheelchair. She's got her coat on. She's ready to go. And my mom had pulled the van out to warm it up. And it was cold as shit outside. She's like, hurry up and get dressed, put your shoes and your jacket on, get out there and go sit in the van so nobody takes it.
Yeah, because you're going to stop them.
Right. But more importantly, like someone's just, at 8:39 in the morning going to steal a Chrysler minivan.
You never know.
Not where I grew up. Not in that neighborhood. Not in that particular part of Coon Rapids. No. Sorry. And I'm standing there and I'm trying to hurry up to, acquiesce to her demand to a degree. And out of nowhere, she kept going, hurry up, come on. Who's that guy walking down there? I'm like, I don't see anybody. And then a minute later, my car! I'm not even fucking embellishing. I go dashing out the door. It's like 10 feet from where I was putting my shoes on to getting outside of the garage to see the van. I get out there. There's nothing. There's no one. There's not even a car going down the street.
What, she looked out the window, didn't see it for a second? Or what?
Who fucking knows? This just goes to prove more that she's nuts. Like, is she doing this as a tool to trick me into establishing a false sense of urgency to get my ass outside to babysit her fucking Voyager?
That's the only theory that I can come up with.
There's
no other reason.
Where we lived was by no stretch of the imagination a tough neighborhood. I don't think I remember a car being stolen in our neighborhood. One time when I was like 19, there was a car parked in front of our house for 2 days, and finally I got bored of it sitting there and I called it in. And it was a stolen car that just got left there. But it didn't originate from our neighborhood. So, I mean, every city kind of has like a rough area. I lived nowhere near any of the rough parts of Coon Rapids. I didn't live by where the new post office is. I didn't live over by Sand Creek Estates townhomes where like it's like the Sunnyvale trailer park of townhome communities around here. They like people breaking into each other's vehicles and shit. It's just a fucking nightmare. But yeah. My car! I don't know if I've ever again heard that kind of panic in her voice. And it was completely unreal and undeserved.
Maybe she looked out the wrong window.
There was only one window. It's that side window next to their front door.
Don't think I'm trying to make excuses for your mom. It's
right.
Just, I'm trying to solve this. It's like, what in the hell?
Well, the van is it was maroon. You notice a maroon vehicle sitting outside your front door. If you're looking through a window it wasn't tempered glass.
Well, your driveway,
it wasn't patterned.
That driveway is like 2 feet from your door.
Yeah.
So.
She constantly has to have the shades open during the day. If she does not have the shades open by like 7:45 in the morning, she starts running her mouth. Like, I'll come over and I won't open the shades for her because I'm using the computer or I'm watching a show and I don't want the fucking sun glare on the TV. She's like, no, I want you to open those shades. I'm not living in a dungeon like you. I'm not in a deep, dark depression like you seem to be. Always with the fucking antagonistic comments.
Yeah.
She's just a fat bully.
She really is. Yeah.
So, like, even say, in the dead of winter when we've got like fresh snow and it's a sunny day and the white powder magnifies the brightness of the morning sun like fivefold, the shades will be wide fucking open. Last few years I lived there, my room was in the basement. Not a well-lit environment. So I would come up the stairs, open the door, and I'd have to grab my eyes and almost fall back down the stairs because it was like a stabbing pain it was an assault on the senses. It was so fucking bright. But she was always so adamant that she had to have them open. And in my house, I always have my blinds closed. I don't want people driving by looking in the window or somebody walking up to fucking sell me something and they see me and then I can't ignore them.
Yeah, we don't even have curtains in the living room or the dining room at my house. And my parents, they never opened up any of their curtains in our house. So their house was always a deep, dark dungeon.
Maybe your parents were in a deep depression and you
No, I
just didn't
think they like
realize
their
it.
privacy, same as you.
No
I mean,
shit.
I wouldn't mind having a curtain and stuff in my house, but my wife doesn't really want it. It's like, no, it doesn't bother me that much. I'm in a cul-de-sac, so we almost never get cars in there unless it's people that actually live there.
The backyard was fenced at their house. It still is. So she'd open up the back windows just so she could look at the fence, some trees, and the side of the next door neighbor's
Wasn't it a
house.
6-foot tall privacy fence?
Yeah, it's I don't fucking understand it, but you always got to have those shades open. But like in my line of work, I have to be a privacy freak. There's a certain sense of paranoia that comes with working as a correctional officer, especially if you're a cop. Because you always wonder that somebody's out to get you, or Christ, that I piss somebody off and they might come after me. So I always keep my house like closed up. And my one other Neil, not the Neil you know, other Neil, once said to me, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen the curtains or the blinds open at your house. Like, yeah, you probably haven't because I don't open them up because you can see what's on the TV when you drive by if I do. It's just the way I am. Oh, so in addition to that, building upon that whole morning on the phone, blinds are wide open, sun beaming through. I remember, where were you on the morning of 9/11?
I was out on a work project. I was out on a county road project when I was working for that traffic control company. So
Okay. I was in bed, and I woke up to the sound of my mom on the phone. I could hear her upstairs. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I get up, I walk up the stairs, I open the door, I get stabbed in the eyeballs with sunlight. I cover my eyes, and I'm like, got the fucking blinds open, huh? And you're talking loud as hell. I can't sleep at all. So what the fuck is the big hubbub here? We're being bombed. Like, what? We're being bombed. Look at the TV. Like, first off, Linda, I'm not going to look at the TV. I just want you to realize that if we were being bombed, the air raid sirens would be going off. And I don't hear anything. All I hear is you talking to Grandma on the phone about what the fuck is going on. And then I look at the TV, I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, well, things just got real.
what was your reaction when you first, other than things got real? I mean,
Well, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't like, oh my God, how could this happen? Why would anybody ever attack America? No,
Yeah.
we're the darling of the UN. Everyone loves us.
Yeah.
A lot of the people in the Middle East want to fucking kill all of us just for living here. And they burn our flag, and then they burn mannequins of our presidents in effigy, and they don't fucking like us because we're meddlesome dicks.
my first reaction, if I can just throw this in real quick,
Don't have it in.
I'm kind of ashamed of it now that I look back at it. But we were working on a project, me and Mark, and I heard it on the KQ show. I was just like, whoa, a plane crashed into a building. Holy shit, this is awesome, I listened to a lot of Dennis Leary back then, so I was like, I got a 6-foot erection with a cheeseburger on the end. This is awesome, people, And then as the day went on, we were listening to the radio, and I heard a second plane hit. I'm like, oh shit! Like, I take back everything I said.
I'm not so excited about this terrorist attack thing that is going on right now. Whoops.
It was kind of cool as an accident, but now it was being done on purpose. Like,
Well, after I got done looking at 2 minutes of what was going on the TV, I went and took a piss because I just woken up. I went back down to sit in bed and just kind of turn on the TV and process while my brain woke up. And like they were cutting to some newscaster chick who was talking about something, and then there was like a hiccup in the feed, and she kept repeating a few words over and over,
Mhm.
and then the screen kind of went blank for a second. I went, that was the one time of the whole thing that I went, oh shit. Really?
Did they just bomb the local radio station?
I'm like, should I be down on my knees praying to that God I keep saying doesn't exist? And then I had to work that night, right? So I'm at Menards, and people are coming in, and suddenly there's like a run on gas cans.
Yeah, I remember driving home that night from work. I worked a long day. Gas was at $3-4. One place down in Oakdale was charging $5. I heard the people that work in that night got fired for it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, everyone's at the gas station trying to get gas. And the only reason I needed to go is because I was literally out of gas. I wasn't trying to stock up or anything.
Well, some guy at work and the paint department manager's like, yeah, my brother in Kansas City said it's $8 a gallon there, and it's probably going to go up to like 10 or 20. I went to my boss, greatest boss I've ever had, Terry, and I'm like, that can't be right. Like, if gas goes to $20 a gallon, no one can afford it, or we'd all go broke by. And he's like, well, society collapses and we all just go on welfare, right? I'm like, yeah, or the whole country goes all fucking Mad Max. Probably what I said, not what you
I
said.
vote Mad Max.
Yeah.
That's what dog eat dog.
And I'm driving home, and I get off the freeway, and I turn into the main drag that heads towards my neighborhood, and I see a line of cars at the Phillips 66 station that's like 30 cars deep. So I slowed down to like 5 miles an hour, and I rolled down the window, and I'm like, do you stupid motherfuckers understand how supply and demand works? If the price goes up, it's because you're all buying gas. And that was my 9/11 experience. But not, we're being bombed.
Yeah, that's funny.
If I may throw one other person under the bus, this chick that I knew once upon a time ago who has ugly tits. She's the one with the A-cup titties.
Yeah, that looks like Canadian bacon,
yeah,
right?
she's got A-cup titties with D-cup size nipples and the Canadian bacon. Yeah, bitch. Anyway, so she told me that she was watching it in like one of the common areas up at college. She's like, I didn't know what to do. I just felt like such a victim, and I just sat there and watched it, and I couldn't stop crying. I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Oh, good Lord.
Like, the World Trade Center is gone, and you are up at Concordia Moorhead crying like a rape victim because of terrorism. Planes have been crashed before. This shit has happened. This isn't like a new precedent. But yeah, she just sat there. I couldn't stop crying. I never asked my old man what he thought. He was at work, so who fucking knows? He works for the government too, so maybe he was like, I should fucking go home. I had to think a lot of people were like, I'm going to fucking leave. But back to bashing Linda. So I must have been like, I know I was in high school, and I, cordless phones then. So I hit the off button, and then I let the phone drop. Either that or I fell asleep on the phone. Bottom line is, in the middle of the night, my mom wakes me up, and she is fucking frantic, like losing her mind. The dingo ate my baby frantic. And she's like, where's the phone? Where's the phone? Pick it up. There's no dial tone. Where's your phone? Find it. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm sleeping. It's like 2 a.m. No, you find it right now. What's going on? Like, she was completely obsessed with the fact that she picks up a corded phone and there is no dial tone. And she can't make a call to no one. Because who the fuck is she going to call?
Who's she trying to call at 2 a.m?
Nobody. And I don't know why she picked up the fucking phone. I don't know if she was going to call in a prescription or something. She picked up the phone for some reason. It took about 5 or 6 minutes of ruminating around. And then I went and finally looked under my bed. It had fallen between the mattress and the wall. So I shut it off. All that. Like, I couldn't get back to sleep. I was furious. My dad was just fit to be died, too. It's just mental.
At her or at you?
At her.
Okay.
He understood. I mean, yeah, shit happens, but she's like, well, what if we needed to call 911? We wouldn't be able to. We didn't have cell phones back then, first world problems.
I don't see my parents freaking out about anything like that.
Right. It just goes further to prove that she's schizophrenic and has this weird fucking paranoid anxiety disorder, probably OCD. Because she always has to have...
Everything's got to be perfect.
Everything's got to be folded. You can't leave too many toys out. Get this out of my kitchen. Go take it to your room. Got to have the blinds open.
If you're choking, go get a glass.
Yes. Fuck. In addition to that, earlier on, and I think it was about 10, where there was a day where the smoke alarm went off in the house. So she panics. My dad, gets up on a chair and fans it and blows the dust out of it. Because they do that.
What normal people do.
Yes. She is arguing with my dad. No, you don't know. Those fires like that, electrical fires can smolder in the walls for hours. And I'm thinking I'm not an electrician, but that doesn't sound right to me. Yeah, so she's freaking out about a possible imaginary phantom fire in the walls that could be going for hours, smoldering. They take me and my sister. They kennel the dog. They put the 3 of us in the van. She has him park the van around the corner from the house down the street. She has him get his truck out of the garage. Oh, well, she's in the house calling the fire department, who shows up.
Oh,
and they go through the whole house and they check the attic. She was a former city council member. These dudes knew who she was.
They probably were laughing when they got the call.
I'm sure they were like, what the fuck? And then when they got there, they had to be like, you gotta be shitting me. And then when they left, they probably had to go, really? No, what the fuck? She's nuts. Because episode 25 of the What Do We Call It podcast, I reference a classmate of mine who shit his pants in 3rd grade. His father was a firefighter here. So he would have caught wind of that fairly quickly. And his dad was very like on edge all the time. And I was like, okay, I get it.
What time of day was this? The smoke detector?
This was at like midnight or something. It just went off, dude. Battery must have been going dead. If you get a buildup of dust in those 80s fucking hardwired smoke detectors, they go off.
Okay. Yeah, I've only had the battery powered ones until recently. So.
Oh, yeah. That one.
And those go off every time I cook something in the oven.
I've only had that happen once. And it freaked the shit out of the kids.
After the house fire, anytime the smoke detectors went off in the new house, or the rebuilt house, right. They freaked. They would run outside to the other side of the circle.
Yeah.
Because they remembered that night. But I think your mom's a little overreacting to that. I mean...
Yeah, we never even had like a small kitchen fire or anything. I mean, what Tim's referencing is that a few years ago his house burned down under peculiar circumstances when he was married to his ex-wife. And we're pretty sure that she was trying to kill him and the kids so that she could just make a clean break and fuck other dudes. So that, yes, if your house burns down, I can see how you'd be a little jumpy when the smoke alarm goes off because it's like a fucking trigger event.
I was fine. It was the boys that would freak out. But, I mean, yeah, it's like anytime after the suspicious alcohol beverage she made me one night before we decided to get a divorce, I was really leery to drink anything or eat anything she gave me because she made me a Long Island. Yeah. Took a sip of it. I'm like, God, this tastes like shit. What'd you put in here? She's like, well, I put a little lemon juice in there. Yeah, it tastes terrible. I dumped it out, made myself a new one. Next day, I go in the trunk of her car, open box of rat poison. I asked her, what's this for? Well, it's for the rats and the mice in the garage. She's like, what garage? We live in a townhome. There's nothing in the garage. She's like, no, back at the house. I was like, when's the last time you were in the garage at the house and saw a mouse? I mean, I practically lived out there and never saw a mouse.
Wow.
I should have saved that drink. When I went to the sheriff's office, it could have been so helpful.
Maybe. The county sheriff's department didn't have its own in-house CID back then, so they didn't have a lab to run it through a centrifuge to try to separate the chemicals and check it for trace elements of
when I told them about it, they asked me if I saved the sample of it. I said, no, I dumped it out. That was like 4 months ago. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I have this habit of saving the last sip of every beverage I ever take, and I put them in old breast milk containers and freeze them and save them for if I ever want to, go back in time and finish it off to reminisce about one time when I was thirsty and my drink tasted off. Fucking Jesus Christ. Well, you said you had a story before we started recording of a time when my mom flipped out. So you knock yourself out and go wild with this.
Okay, so we're up in Pine City.
Up at the lake.
And, just a boring Saturday, nothing to do. It's hotter than hell out. So we go riding our bikes around. And out by the county highway, there's
letterboard.
A letterboard, that's what it's called? Okay, a letterboard. And it's got some letters on it. And Blumpkin and I go riding our bikes around. And he sees this letterboard. And we go riding over there between cars. He's trying to switch the letters out. And he's got words. I think you had...
damn, shit, and cunt.
Damn shit. I knew you had the C word. So, we switched the board out. We are just laughing our butts off. We go scrambling back to the campground.
I was 12 at the time, so Neil also was... Or maybe we were 14, which would have made you 15 or 16. But yeah, still.
Whatever age it was, was it an hour later? We're down by the docks. And your mom comes flying up on the golf cart with the little golf balls hanging around the top. Blumpkin, you get your ass back to the trailer now. How dare you mess with that letterboard? And she's just screaming, ranting, and raving. She's probably like 200 feet from us. There's other people down at the docks, people going out fishing, coming back. And she's just screaming bloody murder at us. And I remember you jumped on your bike and took off. And I heard her screaming at you the whole way across
the hill and
up the hill, down the road. From where we were to where your guys' trailer was probably like a half a mile.
Nah,
and I can hear her the whole way.
In her defense, this is a golf cart. It's open air, and it has a plexiglass windshield on it, so it's just like echoing back all the swear words and angry momming. And I just want to point out that when she came to get us then was the first time we messed with the sign. I did it again the next day by myself.
I was going to say, I don't remember that.
And I saw it as we were leaving. That's when I re-employed the C word. And I just remember, like, I'm sitting there looking, and I'm snickering to myself, like, and they're like, what? Like, nothing. Nothing. As we're driving away, we left for the week, and it was up there.
Yeah, who knows when they got it changed.
God.
See, I didn't know you went back up there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
As far as I knew, you were grounded to the trailer the rest of the weekend. I didn't even get in trouble. My parents knew I was with you, but they didn't do anything.
I think it's important to note that our parents seem to come from two very different schools of discipline, whereas your dad, you said, has a very gruff, stern tone, and but he didn't really ever spank you.
Oh, no, he spanked.
Okay, I
misremembered that. As I got to be closer to that age, 14, 15, spanking wasn't an issue anymore.
So, whereas my mom swears they never spanked me, and they did for a little while, and they stopped. But her first reaction to everything is to scream bloody murder and give it to you over and over again. She just will not stop. And you could leave the room. You could leave the floor. You could leave the house and come back 45 minutes later, and she might be down there folding laundry, still ranting to herself insanely down, 2 floors below where you are. And then I always knew I could fuck with her by going, who are you talking to? I'm talking to you! I haven't been here for 10 minutes. Shut up! And then she'd keep going.
That kind of answers the question. Because I remember her a couple of times driving around the campground, muttering underneath her breath to herself.
She always talks to herself. She always has. She'd always be practicing. I don't know who she was talking to, but she'd always be down folding laundry and talking. Like, I don't know if she was going back over a conversation with herself or prepping for something. Now, admittedly, I do that now. All the time. Done it for years. Here's the difference. I do it like I'm pissed. Like with my ex, I would say a bunch of shit while she wasn't there. That like I was warming up for later when I knew there'd be a fight, so I had some insults in the bank. I do it when practicing for the show. I do it to get my mind ready to go to work and deal with convicts all day. So I walk around work sometimes, and I'll just start laughing to myself, sometimes out loud, out of nowhere, and people just look at me. And that's the problem with having shows in society like The Simpsons and then South Park and Family Guy, is all these cutaways and Simpson episodes and South Park episodes and Venture Brothers episodes. All this shit's up in my head, and randomly it'll pop into my mind.
That happens to me too.
And I'm just laughing hysterically like an insane person. And people are like, what's funny? I'm like, I can't say it. It's inappropriate for work.
Just the other day I was thinking about where I worked at. We go up to Fargo for a few days for training every year. And the one coworker and I were sharing a room. I'm looking for a hotel room that apparently doesn't exist. None of the people that work there knew this hotel room. And my coworker's finding me, I'm like, I go to shit. Find this room, I go to shit. And I'm laughing. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this room. Turns out what we were looking for was the internet code. Room number was written at the top of the thing.
Jesus Christ.
But do you think maybe hotel employees would have been able to point that out to me? Because the hotel room was like 3105 and the hotel code was 3213. So I'm like, so where's room 3213?
Jesus
like,
Christ.
I go to shit.
He sounds like a fun guy to have.
Every time I think about it, it just makes me laugh.
This just popped into my head. My mom's from Duluth. My dad's from Hermantown. So that's where we moved from when I was like 1.5. We moved down to the Twin Cities. So we were up there visiting my grandparents up at their old house on 8th Avenue East. And the neighbor kids, I'd always go play with the neighbor kids up there, like Mikey and his sister Jen, and then Caleb and Jordan, who lived like 2 doors down from my grandma. And across the street was like this alley next to a creek. So we were farting around one day, and I don't know why I wasn't paying attention, but I walked past Caleb, and I didn't know he was taking a piss, and he pissed on my leg. And I didn't want to go home with wet pants. Or no, I'm sorry, I did go home with wet pants. So then I changed quick and came back. Well, then we're fucking around in the creek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pair of pants ruined for the day number 2. I fell into the creek. So I had to go home again. Well, back to my grandparents' house. She didn't see me the first time. The second time, she's like, why are you wearing different clothes? Like, well, I fell in the creek. No. Where's the pants from this morning? Oh, well, we were playing out there, and I walked past Caleb, and he was going pee, and I didn't notice it, and then he accidentally peed on my leg. And then she's like, what? You? And she went outside to yell at the neighbor kids. She's like, did you pee on him? I'm like, bye, it was an accident. I'll never forget this phrase. Not, you don't go to the bathroom outside. It was, you don't go bathroom outside.
she turned Chinese or something.
Yeah, you don't go bathroom outside. So then I ate lunch, and then I went back out, and then I came back, and none of the kids wanted to talk to me. Like, way to get us in trouble. I'm like, God damn it.
I didn't intend to.
All I did was go home, and she noticed my pants. What the fuck?
I came home doused in swamp crap and dirt and mud and everything one night. My dad just looked at me. He's like, you're going to go shower, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right. That was the end of it. I guess I lucked out in the parent department because I think I would have shot myself if the circumstances were different.
Why?
Why?
Were you out grave robbing?
No, me and a couple of friends were down at the park, and there's like an island in the middle of like a swamp with cattails and everything, and we were running around in the island, and next thing you know, we're running around in the actual swamp and tackling each other and all that.
Oh.
So we were just playing.
What the fuck is so bad about that?
Well, nothing really. When I got home, I thought my dad was going to yell at me because I came home covered in mud, reeking of swamp. And all he did was say, you're going to take a shower, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good reaction.
Well, it's better than him going over to my friend's house like, you don't play in swamp.
You don't play in mud. It's dirty. You don't stain your clothes. You don't go bathroom outside. Linda, you're not listening to me. It was an accident. Why are you so angry? And as I said in episode 1, she always would talk about how crazy my grandmother was. And I'm like, no, you're the one that's fucking crazy. It has to be you. It has to be. My dad's called her schizophrenic. Drives her up a wall if you do that. Or conversely, if you tell her that she's showing signs of dementia or losing her hearing, dude, she comes unglued. My dad's like, don't go there. Don't go there. You know? As if I'm sitting there waking up the Kalima guy from fucking Indiana Jones. It's ridiculous. You would think that talking about the decline of some of her mental faculties was the equivalent to John Candy waking up that bear in the cave in the great outdoors. And I wonder if people are even getting these references.
God, I hope so, because they're good references.
They are good references, goddammit. Where else was I going to go with this? No, my aunt's cool as shit. Like, obviously now her and my uncle, they're my godparents, by the way. They are like 30-year AA vets, at least. Okay. Right? Back then, they partied. But back in high school, my aunt had to be popular. My mom couldn't have been popular. She had to be the nerdy younger sister. I fucking guarantee it. There's no way. Something happened to her early in life where she was just so uptight and socially awkward. Now she doesn't leave the house very often. She won't have a garage sale because she doesn't want those people in her garage, which is secret code for black people or Hmongs. She always talks about being scared to go to certain Walmarts because people have been threatened with weapons there before. Like she's afraid someone's going to steal her purse. You're an easy mark. Maybe somebody's going to target you, but you're low-hanging fruit. It's not even like fun for a criminal.
Yeah.
I know because I fucking deal with criminals all the time and hear them talk about the shit they pull. I've asked her to go to counseling or therapy, but she won't. Back years ago, they sent me to a shrink for depression when I was in high school. And I had to divulge all these details of my family life. And I mentioned how my mom treated me and how she dealt with things and all her making threats to throw me out of the house and shit. And I told it to my then shrink. So then they brought my parents in and they sat down and we're talking. She's like, and then, your son told me some stuff about this and, well, why don't you tell her? I'm like, what? No.
I thought it was confidential.
I already told you, you tell him. You wrote all that shit down. I'm not saying that to her face. She's just going to yell at me more. That's the kind of mentality that I've been worked into. As my dad told me, and I mentioned previously, his parents didn't go to their wedding because his mom fucking hated her. Hated. And she always talks about my dad's mom being nuts because she stopped taking her heart pills and thought the doctors were, poisoning her with all this medication. Which, yeah, that sounds a little loopy, but what are you going to do? She was old. She had heart issues. She was scared. Back in 1988, they didn't have statins and all these fancy drugs. Who knows what they gave her, but she flushed them down the toilet. She thought they were fucking around. But my mom would talk about how fucking nuts my grandma was, my dad's mom. Then she'd talk about how nuts her own mom is. Are you seeing a pattern? She's always pointing fingers. She's always telling me, oh, well, normal people don't talk and act the way you do. That's not normal. God, I'm glad I thought of that now. I was wondering how to wrap this up. She's always using the words normal. That's not normal. Normal people don't do this. Normal. I'm like, stop with the word normal. What's normal? That's relative. What's common? I could accept that term, but I feel like you're telling me I'm wrong by a standard which I don't subscribe to. So you sound fucking stupid. And then she's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot. You're independent. You're an independent. And I'm like, no. One time, many years ago, she asked me why I was doing this or that or the other. I'm like, because I'm an individual. I have my own style. I do things my way. Somehow individual became independent. Just like the way she tries to tell my dad he looks like a goon, and then she tells me he looks like a gook.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, I can call my husband a gook if I want. No, you can't, because it's a racial slur for Asian people, dumb fuck. Obviously, I could have thought of tons of more examples. But, dear God.
I just remember growing up, your mom was not someone I liked hanging around with.
Nobody did.
Didn't like talking to her. Even my parents kind of didn't back in the day. I want to say within the last 10 years, they're like, oh, she's not as bad as she used to be. And I bump into her because I still go up there every once in a while. And I'll sit and talk with her for a little bit. But deep down inside, I know what she really is because I've seen it. When we were kids, that's the other thing too. She's hiding it now. Because most of the people that used to go up there, the adults that they hung out with back when we were kids, they're not up there anymore.
Right.
So she was able to recreate her image. Because a lot of people up there seem to be like, oh, she's an all right person. I'm like, I know her from back then.
Neil said some people call her treasure troll.
I haven't heard that, but I don't go up there that often. I can ask my parents. They might have heard it.
Well, and she's always had this claim that nobody I know talks to their parents the way you do. You talk so awful to me. Nobody acts like you, and nobody talks back to their parents. You think if you did that to so-and-so's dad, he'd beat your ass. And I'm like, no, they wouldn't.
I've never really heard a parent talk to their son the way she does.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm being honest.
Yeah. No, nobody fucking has the antagonistic hate relationship that we do.
I think I had one friend that was possibly like that. His name was Chris. And his dad, from what I understand, was an asshole to him. But I never saw it. In your situation, I've seen it.
Oh, it's out there. And only once in history have I ever had a friend who really spoke up to her. And he totally misunderstood what she was saying. She was trying to talk about something financial. And this is when I was 16. To my then friend Doug, who I worked with at Target. And his dad has polio. So he walks with crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, ask your dad. He's a CPA. You know what a CPA is.
Yeah.
Well, Doug didn't understand what she was meaning. And I don't know if he thought that the C stood for cripple.
Probably.
Right. Crippled polio. Who fucking knows? Because she was just on her soapbox again. And all of a sudden he does this. He's like, fuck you. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm not going to fucking listen to this shit. You don't fucking know anything about my dad. Fuck you. And then she's like, you leave. You leave right now. And you know what? You're not going to Florida with us because he was going to come on a Florida trip with us. And it ended up being me taking Neil with again. So as he's leaving, and this was in the height of the Attitude Era for WWF/E, he gives her the stone cold double bird. He's like, I don't fucking care. Fuck you. And then he leaves. So she was pissed off for about 35 minutes where she was screaming at the top of her lungs. And anybody that would listen and anybody else who didn't want to. And then I called Doug, and I just started laughing at the phone. He's fucking dying laughing. I'm like, that was awesome. We had a good chuckle. I'm like, that sucks you're not going, but wow, dude, nobody's ever done that before. And nobody has sense. Nobody ever And that's why I think why she's under the impression that I'm such a horrible person talking to her. But I've said time and time again, nobody talks to their parents like you. I'm like, here's the deal. Nobody's parents I know talk to them the way that you talk to me. Nobody else is up their ass when they're a pretty upstanding individual. Yeah, I pulled some pranks and shit and gotten into some stuff, but I've never been arrested. I've never been drunk. I never tried drugs.
I've been brought home by the cops.
I never have.
I smoked a little pot.
Fuck, man. I mean, I didn't even do anything that was worth kicking me out of the house until I was, 26 when I knocked up my ex. And I wasn't even living there then.
Yeah.
And she screamed bloody murder about it. Her reaction was, no, why, no.
See, when I told, if you remember my ex,
Yes.
when I told my mom, and we told him at Christmas, gave him a little stocking, a little baby stocking. My mom looks at it and she's like, why would you give me this? And she gets this really big smile on my face. My dad, who really hated my ex, kind of looks at it, looks at me, and just shakes his head. Like, yep, you're trapped, buddy boy. They didn't want me to marry her in the first place.
Oh.
If they weren't such polite people, they probably wouldn't have gone to my wedding.
Well, my mom's an extreme person with extreme reactions that give me plenty of material, so I'm just going to keep throwing her under the bus because it's funny and people like it. I thank you for being with me today, number one fan Tim.
Thank you.
For Blumpkin and Friends, I am the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin. Good night.